Hi, everyone. Well, we are back. And today we have a very special, very near and dear to my heart guest. So tell us, what is your name?
Atlas.
Hi, Atlas. And how old are you?
I'm 6.
You're 6? How did that happen?
I just turned 6.
Yeah, that's what happens.
She's like,
Time flies. Time flies. And did you have a special thing you wanted to say to our guest today?
Welcome to Buy the House, Build the Home.
nice.
Nice.
Have you
Nailed
been
it.
enjoying summer?
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder how all the parents feel with all the kids home
Yeah.
for summer now.
And what's your favorite thing you've done so far this summer?
I learned how to swim, and I go to a pool.
Oh my goodness.
And what new thing did you get this summer?
A bike.
A bike? That's amazing.
With
What
a purse.
do you have training wheels on the bike or not?
No.
What? That's insane.
And it's a heavy bike.
It's heavy? I mean, yeah.
We did. We upgraded a little bit.
Yeah,
so she had
we
to
upgraded.
get used to the new feel of the bike, huh? How heavy it was?
Yes.
I'm going to see some videos of you riding your bike.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think Betty and I are going to talk about NAR settlements and lawsuits now. Are you wanting to be a part of that?
Yes.
You want to talk about real estate lawsuits?
Yes.
Okay. Scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about the NAR lawsuit?
10.
Oh, 10 being a good thing or oh?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll have
I don't know how many people would agree with that, but
I'm not
I
sure
love
I'm
the
at a
outlook.
10. I'm not at a 10, but it's going to be okay.
I love the outlook. I love it.
Okay, I'm going to pass you off, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
You're
thanks
amazing.
for doing that.
She's so cute. It's unbelievable.
I
Unbelievable.
mean, start them early, I guess.
I
I
mean-
would not have been that comfortable talking on
no,
a mic.
she's
at that age.
amazing. She just sat there and spoken in the mic. She got some good mic etiquette.
She does.
Took me
right?
years. I still don't have it.
When we're having these podcasts edited, I can't even imagine, because my husband does it. I can't imagine what he has to deal with.
No.
With either
Thank
of us.
God for
when
him.
We're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, before we get into lawsuit stuff,
Yeah.
how's life? Let's go there
Woo.
first.
You know, summer in Texas. Here we are. It actually hasn't been that hot.
No.
It's getting there. You
Yeah.
know, we know what's going to happen.
I love all the memes right now that's like, if you're new here, this is the preheat.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
We're not.
Because people are
anywhere
dying, and it's
near.
like, you don't know what August is like
Yeah.
or July. No, but very busy. We've been busy.
Yes.
Lots of things happening right now. I was sharing with you earlier, but just I've got some buyers that just bought,
Yeah.
a year ago, and they're wanting to turn around and sell. We had a
Yeah.
huge influx of people that came in to Texas, and you moving from out of state, you realize I don't love this area, or getting relocated for work.
Yeah.
So it's been a little tough, but I've been very busy. My the joke I like to say, or not the joke, but you want to make sure that you're still really doing well in real estate, try to go on a trip. The second
I've
I go on a
actually
trip,
seen this in
it's
your
crazy.
life as well.
It's
You'll
crazy.
be like, can you do this? Can we do this? Can we
Yeah.
get this done?
I'm like getting ready for sure. Anytime I'm at the airport, someone is, oh, can I see this house? Oh, can we make an offer? Oh, we want to put our house on the market.
Which is all
It's like,
wonderful.
It's great. It's great.
Wonderful. You know what I'm thinking? We need to plan a trip to
We just need to
Cabo.
plan a trip. No, forever. I'm like, I
Let's
just I need to travel, because if I
Forever.
do, I will for sure have people come out of the woodworks.
I love
Like
that.
buyers that haven't been looking for months. And
Yeah.
the day I decide to leave, it's like, hi. So that's been fun. And you've been really busy.
I have been really busy. Just got done with my mother's house transaction.
Yes.
So she was downsizing, and then she was relocating like a town over a little bit closer to me. But we went to multiple offers on her house in Grapevine, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Grapevine
it's a
is a
great
hot
area.
commodity right now, and
Great
she had a
house.
phenomenal house.
And you guys did a lot of work to it as
We
well.
did.
And it made
So
a
my
huge
husband
difference.
and I jumped in there. We're actually headed towards the flipping business as well. But we didn't have to do anything major. But we did do like knobs, lights, painting.
Changes everything.
decluttered, depersonalized, staged. There was some other things that we had to do as well, but that was kind of the main thing. We took about a month, and I mean, the house was just, it was night and day at the end.
It looked incredible.
So that was a lot of fun.
I didn't
be
even
a
get to
part of.
see it personally. I just
Yeah.
saw videos and pictures. So I saw it before.
Yeah.
And
And
you guys-
now,
you guys did a great
next
job.
week, we're going to hop into the townhome that she downsized to.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. That was a multiple offer situation as well. And we actually got it for under asking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so thankful for that. This one's a little heftier. We have to paint 20-foot ceilings.
Oh, 20-foot ceilings. Okay.
Yeah.
You have a
And
ladder? What do you?
Scaffolding. Scaffolding. But yeah, that and then
I
floors.
was just trying to envision myself trying to get on a ladder.
I mean, here's the thing.
This
You
would
could
not
come
go-
over.
no,
No, you
listen,
could come over
I
next
will-
week. We'll get you
I
on
will.
scaffolding.
Oh no, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get some video content
Yeah.
of this.
I think that would be great. We're going to have a sprayer,
Cute.
buying a professional
We should put
sprayer,
some
all that
paint
fun
under
stuff.
our eyes. You know, like football players and painting today. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that.
You know, I feel that. We could do that. We could do that. I'm here for that. But yeah, and then we're going to redo floors. We're ripping out
Okay.
old carpet. The lady had a cat, and my mom is allergic. So, and the carpet's just worn. It's 10 years old.
Yeah.
So we're going to rip all that out. We're ripping out bathroom countertops.
Are you what kind of flooring are you putting in? Are you gonna do carpet again?
We're going to do, no, we're
Okay,
actually
good.
going to do, I think it's a laminate that she landed on, a
Okay.
really nice laminate.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of putting carpet back into
No,
houses
a
these
lot of people
days.
don't want it. A lot of people, and for that reason, like,
Yeah.
there's just so much dirt and hair and stuff can hide.
I actually had a conversation with a luxury builder out in Dallas, and he was saying that carpet is one of the most toxic things that you can put in your house.
no.
Not only like the bacteria and the dirt that we drag in, but the chemicals in which they make carpet. So he was saying, like, if you have to put carpet in, use wool. But I'm like, ooh. So now we just try to avoid it.
A
at all
lot of
costs.
people, sometimes they want carpet on the stairs if they have little kids, just for, but I tend to see that people are saying, I don't want carpet in my house.
Suggestion on that. I know we're kind of like veering off here, but just a thought is you can get like little tiny runners to line each step if you want, and that's going to be a lot easier to maintain.
Oh,
Rugs, things like that.
This is also sidebar, but we are on the topic. This happens still. Like, I'll go into, and it's older homes.
Yeah.
But they used to put carpet in the bathrooms.
I know.
It is so disgusting
Can
and
you
wild.
even
And every time,
Let's
every
not-
time I walk in, I'm like, why? Like, on my Instagram, I'll do a video, and I'm like, why carpet in the bathroom? That is disgusting.
That's
Think about it.
so rough.
It's just
Well,
gross.
yeah,
It's gross.
like, you
It's
miss the
gross.
toilet one
It's just
time.
not, and it's there forever. You can try to get it out, but it seeps in.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
Anyway, I'm
Things
glad
are
y'all are not
great.
replacing it
No.
with carpet.
No.
So you've got quite the project ahead of you.
Yes. So I'm excited, especially because since my husband and I are going towards the direction of flipping as well,
Oh, yeah.
alongside being an agent, it's going to be a lot of
It's
fun
perfect. You're getting a lot of
practice.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And perfect timing to do it too. I love
But we
it.
also have been doing that for years at our own house. We just rebuilt a bench. When I say we, I mean him. I
It's
painted
different when
it,
you're doing
but-
it for someone else though.
This
And
is
and someone
true.
you deeply care about, you like want to set her up well.
Yeah.
You're going to do it differently,
Yeah.
Not that when you're not doing it for yourself, you don't do a great job, but it's
Yeah.
just different when you're doing it for someone else.
Agreed.
Different set of pressure, if you will.
Agreed. Yes,
Oh.
especially with my mother because she is a perfectionist.
there
so
you
she'll be
go.
looking at it and going, "Why is that not in alignment?" I'm like, "Oh, go on there, Mom."
Oh my gosh, you've done great though. You had both of those were under multiple offers,
Yes,
and I'm seeing this happen in this market.
Yeah.
I just got
if you
under
get
multiple,
the right house, right location, it's probably
right
gonna
price.
happen.
Yeah, that's what's happening. So that's awesome.
Which is exciting. Exciting
It's
for
very
sellers
exciting
again.
because people think like, oh, this market, and
Yeah.
I had a listing that was on the market for 2 weeks. We had like 2 showings, and then we went to multiple. So
Yeah.
it felt like, oh no, this thing's just kind of sitting. The market's just different.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a lot of things go to multiple if they're priced well in a good location. So.
I'm also wondering if buyers are a bit more educated than the first go around a couple years ago where everybody was bidding way high. And they kind of, I mean, you're kind of even seeing that with some of your clients now where they're somewhat kind of stuck when they're trying to go and sell because it was so high at that time. So I wonder if buyers are just kind of being more conscientious of where they're putting in that multiple offer.
And there's a lot of factors with a buyer right now because of the interest rates. But people are going, oh, if this thing has been on the market for a week or two, we might be able to ask the seller to pay a cost concession to go towards a rate buy down and stuff like that. And then I'm seeing people do it. I mean, I'm seeing sellers, people are getting really creative. It's actually, I tell people, I'm like, you know, there's usually a solution. If you know, even in your case, when you were purchasing this house, it was like you talked with Alexa, the insurance girl, and they help get you where you need to be. And, you know, without cutting corners, you still have great coverage.
100%.
But there's all kinds of options. And so it's like if you're the thing that you're hung up on is your monthly payment or whatever, there's options out there. But it's cool to see, like, you know, for a little while there, I was like, things are kind of sitting. And they still, certain ones are, but there's a lot that's just blowing and going now, you know? It's cool.
Welcome
cool
to summer.
Welcome to summer. Yeah, it's the time. Now it's the time. People are antsy.
Well, I think antsy too, but I always think about school, kids. This is the time to change school districts. This is the time to relocate if you're going to do it. So you're not having to do that in the middle of the year. So that's why we see it uptick. But, well, speaking of, what did you say? You can get creative. I want to talk about the NAR lawsuit and kind of bringing that into play because I'm starting to have conversations with potential buyers and just putting it out there. And I thought, you know, we should probably put this out there on the podcast as well. I know I've personally been hesitant to really speak on it because so many pieces are still moving.
Absolutely.
And so many things are going to evolve. And honestly, even as agents right now, like, we don't know where it's going to land.
Nobody knows. No.
So
I will say, when it very first came out, I was super passionate, and I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make a video about this, and I'm going to post it on my Instagram. And then I saw like 9 million people doing that, like so many other agents, and they were speaking to it as if they knew. It was very doomsday. I think there's definitely like a narrative around it that I don't necessarily think is good. But I decided to hold off as well because I was like, there's a lot I don't know yet. And I can have my opinions. And maybe I should keep those to myself at the moment, right? But I do think it's good to talk through. And right now, I mean, it's coming. There's a big change coming.
Because I know even in talking to some of the buyers, they have no clue it's coming. You know, we live in it. So I'm like, how do you not know that this
this is going to change?
But why don't you explain what is happening? And then we can kind of dive into our thoughts around it.
Yeah. So basically, how I understand it, there's this lawsuit with the National Association of Realtors and these big brokerages, Keller Williams, there's a lot of them, the big ones. And basically it was coming against like alleged price fixing.
Which has not been happening.
So what's frustrating, and it happened, and there's a reason for the lawsuit. The lawsuit was legitimate. What's frustrating is that anybody who is integrous and is doing their job like they should be doing, this isn't a problem. Right? Basically, everything in real estate is negotiable. Always has been, always will be, always should be. There is a standard, typical, these are rates, but nothing is, it's all agreed upon by the buyer and the agent, or the seller and the agent, right? And so how it has been historically, and they actually changed the law. I can't remember what year this was. I want to say it was like 2010, but buyers and sellers were kind of coming to the table with roughly the same amount. Buyers have to come with their down payment, all their closing costs. Lender fees, escrow, title. There's a lot of moving parts with the real estate transaction. And then the sellers were going to take on the realtor fees. So the seller's agent and the buyer's agent fees. And that was going to come out of their proceeds. And previously, the buyer paid their own agent. Buyer would have their agent. Seller would have their agent. And then they changed it because it leveled out the playing field. And really
it allowed people to buy.
It allowed people to buy. And that's, I think, what's going to really hurt is that it's, you know, we talked about this a little bit, but it does kind of feel like there's pushing a renters society. As far as, just really pushing people to rent right now, which there's always a place for that. There's strategic times in your life. Renting's fine. It's okay. But home ownership is so important for communities, for neighborhoods, for, the world. It really is.
It's also such a saver for retirement. Even going back to what I just said about my mom, that house was completely paid off in Grapevine. So she was not only able to then buy the townhome in cash, but she had enough to be able to renovate it, make her own, pay off debts, have some in savings, and she still has this large lump sum under her that's in the townhome.
In my opinion, real estate is one of the best things for generational wealth.
Yeah.
You think about it, your parents pass away, they leave you the house, right? Yep. What happens when you don't have that? And I think that's what's going to be tough is that now they're basically changing it.
Yeah.
And it was because people were being shady and they were basically saying, this is the rate. It was inflated. And they weren't having those conversations with the sellers. And people were just signing things away going, so it caused a lot of issues.
Yeah. So what is the official change? It's right now, we can't display our commissions.
Can't display commissions on the MLS, which is frustrating because that's what the MLS was created for.
Yeah.
It's
transparent.
It's transparent. It's easy.
Part of the lawsuit. It's not being transparent.
Right. It's very difficult to think about taking that away. But everything's going to have to be negotiated up front. The buyer's agent is really going to have to be changing their game in the beginning.
Yeah.
Depending on where
phone calls, texts,
depending on where this lands. But basically, when you're a realtor, you are under an employment agreement with a buyer, and you represent them. You have them sign a buyer representation document, and in that, it's stating that you will get paid.
Yeah.
Right. Who works for free, right? And I think what's hard with real estate is there's this perception sometimes like, oh, you're just opening up doors. And we've talked about this before. Yeah. Like, I personally think that this lawsuit is going to weed out a lot of the bad agents.
Yes.
And I think that
Which
needs
I'm
to
actually excited
No,
for.
it needs to happen. There's people that hopped on the train, especially in Texas,
quick money,
with this big rush of people. Oh, I'll just do this. And don't really know what they're doing, aren't doing their due diligence, aren't taking it as seriously as they should. Yeah. I know a lot of agents are just like, do this on the side, which is fine. That's fine. But it's a very big transaction. It's a lot of money. It's a big step in someone's life. And I think that it should be taken very seriously.
There's also a lot of legalities that you don't comprehend or understand just hopping in.
No.
And the paperwork, it's not like one contract. There's addendums to the contract depending on the home you're purchasing, where you're purchasing, how you're purchasing.
Oh,
and
my
on the
gosh.
seller side, same thing.
Yeah.
What kind of how old is your house? What do you need to attach?
Is it built before 1978?
Yes.
Do you have a septic system or city
things.
water?
Yeah.
Are you talking? There's so many factors that are not normal, and then there's the standard, but there's lots into it that people don't realize. But I do think that buyers you're going to have to kind of decide up front, because a lot of sellers, if they allow it, which we'll find out, I think a lot of sellers will still offer to pay the buyer's agent fee if they allow it. If they don't allow it, I think that's insane. But
so my understanding on that portion of maybe not even allowing the seller to pay anymore is potentially our beloved government stepping in, the DOJ, and saying that may not even be an option anymore. But we're not there yet. That's just conversation. And again, that's my understanding of it right now. But right now with the NAR settlement, it's basically saying, hey, if the seller doesn't want to pay the other agent, then that's kind of more accepted now and okay.
Right. And the problem is that the buyer is now having to come up with all of their down payment, all their closing costs. When you think about, especially in this market, with the rates the way they are, coming up with a down payment, a significant down payment, even 3.5%, depending on the purchase price, that's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And then now they're going to have to come on top of that.
Typically another 2 to 3%.
Another 2 to 3% for an agent. And, I think you might have some agents that are like, I'll just do this for $500, right? And I also think there's going to be a lot of buyers who decide, I think I'll just represent myself. I don't really need an agent. And in my opinion, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits come out of that.
Yeah.
I think that this will shift back and settle in at some point, but I think we've got a road ahead of us. And the good news, though, is that when there's a challenge, there's great opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if you know what you're doing, you're good at what you're doing, you're going to have to change and pivot a little bit. I mean, every industry has to do this. Every industry has to do this. Like, think about whenever, the smartphone came out with a camera and everybody had, digital cameras that they would like plug into a charger and take pictures on. And now we have these on our phones. Samsung and these people, they had to change with the times. We have to adjust and shift. And, we talk about the power of pivoting. You have to pivot. But I definitely think we're going to come up with good ways to do it. I think it's going to be more clear for people. My hope is that they will still allow a seller to offer that. And I think that seller, it will be, if I'm representing a seller, I'm going to encourage that. I'm going to say,
100%.
I highly encourage that you offer a commission to the buyer's agent, because otherwise you're kind of knocking out a pool of people that may or may not be able to buy. It's going to require, I think, a lot more communication on the front end, which I like to do anyways. I like to call the agents before, if you can.
Yeah.
If you've got 20 scheduled in a day, you can't do that every single time. But I'd like to get us back to that in real estate. I feel like we've moved.
Much more relational.
Yeah, and I think we've moved towards like nobody wants to call anymore. Everybody just wants to text, which is fine. I get it. Like, why are you calling me about this? I could just answer with a text. But there is something to establishing that relationship. And I think if we're having to figure out, okay, we don't know the commissions on these because they're not displayed on the MLS, we're going to have to call these properties. We're going to have to see what the situation is. And then we're going to have to process that with our buyer.
And I think, like you were saying, that's going to weed out the agents that don't want to actually put in that relational equity or time. Communication is huge in this industry. Even just speaking to the two I just closed, both agents on both sides were just phenomenal. We both communicated well, and our buyers and sellers got to walk away with excitement and thankfulness for the process.
That's what you want. And really, those are my favorite. It's not always the case, unfortunately, but you are on the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, you're representing your client. They're representing theirs. You're fighting for the best for this person. They're fighting for the best. But at the end of the day, seller wants to sell, buyer wants to buy. And when we tie in the emotional factor, like, oh, we're leaving our house, these people, and they're, it's a family or whatever. It's like you want this to be a very cohesive, friendly, amicable, like, for everybody. It needs to be a win-win for everybody, and that is what it's supposed to be. And that's why agents we're supposed to work together with each other to make this smooth for both sides.
Agreed.
And when you get in this like tech world where no one's really wanting to have a conversation, no one's really, everything's got to be so fast and quick, and we've
lost the art of actually being human.
Yes, and
at times
we need to get back. I really do think we need to get back to that, and I think it's going to feel annoying at times because it's like, oh, I've got to, but at the end of the day, like, I think we also waste a lot of time doing it the way we've been doing it. So I am excited, but also, like we said, there's a lot to come out. I mean, they initially said July. Now they've pushed it to August.
Yeah, I think it's
nothing's
like August
been finalized.
17th.
Yeah, nothing's been fully finalized. Once we get the rules, they're going to have to rewrite up the contract. We're going to have to change the contract, which they don't typically do at this point. They do it like every 2 years. And so it's going to shake things up a bit. But
a lot of changes.
Like I said, I feel like it's going to become the new normal.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out. But I think it's been pushed as doomsday. Buyers are no longer going to be represented. Sellers aren't going to want to pay buyers' fees. And it's like I said before, you have to look at this as a transaction amongst all sides that hopefully walks away as a win-win with both. And that should be the way we should look at it. We shouldn't be this us versus them. And now I've had people be like, are you even going to have a job? I'm like, yeah, people need to buy and sell a house.
Yeah.
And when you're really good at what you do, you're going to have a job. Right.
Well, I think people will still see the value in it. I will say my concern is for the individuals that are looking for, still affordable houses.
What this is going to,
I think it's going to get It could.
This
I want to say
has
can, could.
potential to really, really hurt the lower to middle class.
Yes. Agreed.
The higher end clients are going to pay. They know.
They know the value.
You are worth every penny of this. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. It's going to hurt the lower to middle class the most, and I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because really, they need help. Yeah. They need help, and I hate that real estate has kind of, you have your agents that are like, I'm only luxury, I only do this, and that's fine, to each his own. But I love serving the one that can't really, they got to figure this out.
And you help them.
I do. And I do it because it's a person and I care about the person. And I've shared this story before, but I had a guy last year that he wanted to buy a house for his son. He was the sweetest man, hardworking, and his budget was like $190,000 in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find a house.
Very.
And I lost money on that transaction, but it was one of the most rewarding ones I've had. And then, he tells his uncle about me, and it's like, it comes back around to you.
Yeah.
But I think that if I'm in a position where he cannot pay me anything, right? And, maybe we have deals where it's just whatever, charity, I don't know. But, that's unfortunate because he needed help.
Yeah.
And to be able to just go, well, the seller doesn't want to pay your fee.
Yeah.
And now no one's going to pay it because you can't afford it.
I think that would be something that I would want to say while you were talking, is just kind of, even a plea is too strong of a word that feels very strong, but just kind of an encouragement to sellers to keep your own humanity on in the midst of each deal. Now, you might have a house that you don't even need to offer anything. People just want the house, and you'll attract the buyer that can afford to pay their agent.
Right.
Okay, great. That's phenomenal. Everybody wins. But, if you put your house in the market and you at first decide, I don't want to offer any commission, but you have a great individual family buyer that comes to you, and in negotiation, that's something that they're needing help with. If you can't, you can't. Yeah. That's reality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't have that money. But if you can, remain human.
Yeah.
And understand that it has gotten much harder to purchase a house. Yeah. Not only because of rates, but because of how much houses cost. And also, what am I trying to say? Our income levels haven't really risen at the level that the houses have. So I know for millennials and people younger than us, there is a struggle. That doesn't mean no millennial is buying. Yeah. I bought, I'm thankful, and you can, but it is a different ball game.
Right.
And so I think that's my appeal to sellers, is just each transaction take a human approach. Again, that doesn't mean that every seller needs to offer.
No, and I would say, as an agent too, it's all, we always say this, it's very circumstantial. Yeah. And you really want to do what's in the best interest for your client. So if you represent that seller and it's in their best interest to not, then you don't, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, like you said, bringing back that humanity, I think is so important, and really seeing that this is a person that's going to be living in your home. It's just important, and it's good to kind of keep that perspective with everybody when it can feel so. I think what's tough is money can bring out like the worst in people.
100%, including myself.
Yeah, like, and the other thing I wanted to say that I think is important to mention in this is that they changed a couple years ago is the HUD statement. So there used to be a HUD settlement statement that everybody would get at the end of their real estate transaction, and it would show buyer's side, all their fees and their total, and then it would show seller's expenses and their total, right? And you could see side by side, this is pretty much the same. Okay. And the sellers obviously are pulling this from their proceeds, and whatever they have left is profit. But they changed it where now the sellers don't see what the buyers have and the buyers vice versa. So they did that intentionally. I remember being like, why did they do that? Because it was kind of beneficial specifically for a seller to see like, oh, this is really actually even. Yeah. And what I would tell my buyers at that point is like, hey, on the buy side, the seller's paying my fee. But when it comes time for you to sell,
Yep.
the roles are reversed, and that's when you pay not only the seller's agent, but you're going to pay a buyer's agent.
Yep.
And you just make that very clear for them. Like, on the buy side, you're not paying me anything. I've had people say that, like, do I need to write your check? You know, I'm like, well, at this time, the seller is offering on these houses that you selected, the seller's offering to pay my fee.
Yeah.
Something else that I think is really rough is when, let's say, a seller is offering a lower, let's say the 2% versus a
Right.
2.5, 3, and an agent has 10 houses they're showing, and they're going to look at, these are 3%, and there's 2 in here that are 2% and 2.5. I'm just not going to show those, or I'll go ahead and show, but I'm going to really push these. And you're doing a massive disservice to your client if you do that.
Oh my gosh.
It does not need to be
yes.
about your commission amount. It needs to be about that house, that location, that price, their purchase ability, and, you know, the best fit for that client. So I think
But that would be interesting to see
and that's
what comes of this.
That's a problem when a real estate agent is going to
Yeah.
steer someone. There's literal laws around that. But if it's based on that,
I feel like
that's a
this
problem.
lawsuit is going to open up so many more lawsuits
Oh,
to come.
100%. Yeah. I
So-
said that from the get-go. I was like, oh, especially if buyers are going to think they don't need to be represented, or they can't. They can't afford it. Seller's not going to pay. And, you know, I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
It's going to cause additional lawsuits to come. And I think eventually, like I said, I think we'll kind of land with a new normal, but
Yeah.
definitely going to have some hurdles along the way.
Well, I think in wrapping up, I would say sellers remain human if possible.
Stay human.
Keep your humanity. Buyers, start saving some more just in case, because we don't really know where this lands. It may not swing as far as we think, and
Right.
maybe more sellers will continue to offer,
Right.
which would be amazing because we want you in a house.
Yeah.
But I would plan to save a bit more, and I'd also be really, really thoughtful in who you're hiring on both sides, honestly, as a
100%.
seller and as a buyer agent, so that they're going to represent you well. They're going to either say, hey, seller, you really don't need to offer the commission right now. Like, I see your position.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight for you in this. Or, hey, seller, I see your position. I see your house.
Right.
You really do need to be offering this. / buyer, I'm going to go to battle for you. Like,
Yeah.
let's figure out how we get me paid and get you in a house well.
Exactly.
So I think that's going to become even more important than it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I think it's going to shake things up in a good way. I think
Yeah.
it's going to weed out agents, and I think we're going to, like I said, with great challenge comes great opportunity. And so getting creative and figuring it out and communicating and getting back to, like you said, the humanity and the communication. I think that's going to be a positive that comes out of it, hopefully. So
Agreed. Amazing.
amazing.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you.
What is our
Oh, yeah, bye.